So what I'm going to show you, I'm not going to go into all the wiring because some of this is just basics, but I want to explain what it takes to wire up the 6-volt camera and how to wire up like the steering wheel controls and things like that. So as you can see, this harness is already done. So just for you guys, I am going to undo it. While I'm doing this, you know what? I want to talk about this Tesa Tape, man. This thing, you know, if you're into car audio, this is something you must have in your. This is something you must have in your toolbox. Just because it gives you a nice, clean looking harness, and you know, and it looks good. So then that way you don't have to worry about wires rubbing up against the metal, or you know, fraying the wires or cut it, or you know, possibly even cutting them. But anyway, so let's see. All right. And the cool thing is that it's sticky just enough so that if you ever have to undo it, like the wire looms aren't sticky at all. Okay, so this will be the last harness. I'm going to undo this. All right, just so that you guys are aware, this wiring is specifically going to be for the Android unit. Oh boy. All right, guys, so this wiring is going to be specifically, I'm going to say it again, it's going to be specifically and only for the Android head unit. Just because if you go with like a Kenwood or Pioneer or something of that nature, it'll probably be different, and some of the stuff that I didn't need, I depinned it and got rid of it just so that I can have a clean looking harness. But in this case, right here I have my my step down converter from 12 to 6 volt just for the camera. And on this harness, let's see. Okay, so here we go. So we have this. I'm not exactly sure what pin this is, but it's a yellow. It's a yellow wire. It says 12 volt positive. Do not be led by that, because I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens when you apply too much voltage to the camera. I don't know if it doesn't turn on, or if you fry the camera. But I'm actually going to check this out with the multimeter before I actually plug it, you know, before I actually wire it into the camera, which I'm actually going to undo this connector. But you're going to take your blue wire with the red stripe, and you're going to tie it in. I mean, I just use this connector just because on the other end, nothing's going to go plugged in, but just so that I have something to secure it with. I didn't have anything at the time, or I don't have one of these posi-lock connectors, the one that doesn't have the other end to it. It's just you terminate it on one side and that's it. You're gonna take your, okay, so moving forward, you're gonna take your black wire and you're gonna put it with all your other grounds. On this harness, you're gonna ground pretty much essentially every wire that's black, excuse me. You're gonna ground every wire that's black. You're gonna ground them all together. So there's a couple black ones here that have already been joined together. There's also another black here. I think this is for the camera, if I believe correctly. Or no, I think this is for the steering wheel switch. It's closer towards the middle. But yeah, so you're gonna take your black wire, you're gonna join them with your other 4 or 5, whatever grounds. You're gonna put it on there. And then you're gonna take your white wire, your blue and white striped wire, and you are going to join it with the reverse in. You guys see that? I don't know if you guys can see it up there. but it says reverse in. This is the orange and black wire. You're gonna tie it into there along with the with the green and purple, it looks like. So you're gonna join them together just like that, just so you can have a better view. You know, I like to do the spiral. It's a technique I actually learned in a shop a couple years ago, where you take a drill. Well, in this case, I did it by hand. As you can see, it's pretty loose. It's not a tight spiral, but if you have long runs of wire, you take you know, your wires, you put them into the chuck, you tighten down the chuck, you spin them, and it gives you a nice clean run. All right, so you're gonna take your, once again, you're gonna take your blue and white together with the green and purple, looks like, wire. You're gonna put those together on one end, and then on the other end, you're gonna tie it into the orange and black reverse wire. And then parking brake, I don't think I'm going to need this, but typically you would want to ground this green wire. In my experience, you normally take the green parking brake wire out of your harness that goes plugged into your factory harness, and you typically ground this. I just plugged this in just to see what if the Android unit actually doesn't allow me to use features. If it restricts me, then I'm just gonna ground this wire and be done with it. You know, because there's nothing more frustrating that when you're on the road, even though you shouldn't be using your screen while you're driving, but you know, sometimes you're in those situations where you have to, where you have to type something in real quick, and there's nothing more frustrating than this. Or if you have your passenger type something in, you can't do it just because the damn parking brake wire is connected. And so yeah, so we're gonna see how this goes, but typically you normally ground this wire, and be done with it. Let's see. Okay, these wires we're gonna test out. Because the instructions were pretty much vague on your steering wheel controls for the Android unit. These are just steering wheel controls. It didn't really say anything else about it. I think you can plug them in any orientation and they will work, but we're going to find that out. So here I have the black and green, the black wire with the green stripe. Right now I have it plugged into the brown and black, and then I have the green and brown stripe wire connected to the solid black wire. So pretty much my logic was, black to black, brown to brown, and call it a day. And then here are your basic illumination, grounds, constant, switched power, and then you have, these are pretty self-explanatory. The one thing I did find confusing, and you might see it here, is the amp remote turn on and the and your radio booster power wire. This we're going to have to find out, even though, okay, I do have an amp remote turn on, and it's actually coming out of my sound processor. In this case, if you guys don't have a sound processor, if you have an Audison bit 10 like I do, I just pretty much use a 9-wire I think it's called Conduit, or 9-wire Conductor, and I just extended them because they were starting to get a little short, and I soldered in because this harness, these wires are going to be permanent with the bit 10. So in future installations, if I need a longer run, I can just, because usually everything will fit behind the dash once you go aftermarket. And then I have my remote right here. So we're gonna see if we need this. There actually wasn't. I mean, the way this is laid out, it's all right here. So I'm guessing the Android unit is going to power the booster, I'm assuming. So I left this here just in case. If we don't need it, you know, I'll just leave it there. So let me see. Yeah, I think that should cover it. And again, more black wires. You know, here I have, on this end I have 2. On this end I have 3. Yeah, well, technically 4. There's a ground coming from here, a couple grounds coming from the 28 pin, a ground coming from the, what is this, the 10 pin. And yeah, so in this case I don't need the 6 pin. But if you guys don't have a sound processor that you have to tap into your harness, I'm using high level out, so these are going straight into the processor, and then from the processor it'll go out to my RCAs into the amps. So if you don't have a sound processor, you're just going to connect your 10 pin. Yeah, I depinned it, and actually one pin got stuck in there. I couldn't get it out, so I was like, I just yanked the wire out. No biggie. Still kind of bothers me, but you know, because I'm anal like that. But oh well, what are you gonna do? I'm short on time, and today's pretty much the last day before I get this beast up and running. But anyway, so yeah, you're gonna take your 10 pin, your 6 pin, and you're going to join it here with the radio harness. Bada bing, bada boom, and you knock it out. So with the Tesa tape, once you have all your wiring done, let's see. Yeah, so once you have all your wiring done, you're gonna take your Tesa tape. All right, leave that loose. And you know, and you just kind of wanna follow your runs, right? So I'll start from this end. And it doesn't have to be super tight, super perfect. I kind of just left it a little loose. Because sometimes I've seen vehicles where like they have Tesa tape from OEM. They have Tesa tape from OEM, and it's not even on there tight. It's just kind of on there loosey goosey. You know, just enough to get the job done. Leave that out. Sorry for all the noise. I might edit that out in post. Let's see how bad it sounds. The noise from the wire scratching on the table. Right, we have our remote turn on. This goes plugged into the antenna. Oh, and this is your Speedwire. There was no, yeah, your vehicle Speedwire, your VSS wire. For the Android unit, there was no wire for that, so I kind of just left it there. You know, maybe you can use it for something special, but typically when you go with the Kenwood Pioneer route, you would need that wire, and I would highly recommend that you connect that wire, just for the simple fact is that when I know from experience, when I had an AVIC N2, whenever the GPS would lose signal, it would the unit would be super confused. Like if I was going through a tunnel, or you know, the GPS signal was pretty bad in the area that I was in. At least with the Speedwire, your GPS unit can track you, you know, based on your distance and stuff. So, and it won't, you know, it won't get confused and be all confused. All right, guys. So that'll wrap it up for this, and the wire is going to go inside the car, and we're going to see how this powers up for the first time. Hopefully nothing gets fried. You know, yeah, hopefully nothing gets fried, and it'll power up and everything will be glorious. And I'll see you in the car.